Hello, Fins fans. Welcome back to the From the Heights podcast, an inside look into the Lemoyne College Athletic Department. I am your host, Kevin Turi, joined as always by the Assistant Vice President and Director of Athletics, Bob Beretta. Bob, how are you today?
I'm excellent, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's tough to be doing poorly when it's 60 degrees and sunny in February in Syracuse.
It is. It feels like spring has sprung here on the Heights, and a lot of activity when you look around early in the morning. We have our soccer team. They're out training in shorts and t-shirts in February, so that's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, it's a good sign for the weather for our spring sports teams to come. So as always, we're talking about things going on outside, things happening here on campus. To begin, I wanted to provide an update on some of those facilities projects that we've been discussing, and mostly with our softball complex, which has now been pretty much completed.
Yeah, we're really excited about the addition to the softball press box. We feel like that'll help our staff tell a story of our student athletes, be out there in inclement weather sometimes, and it just makes it really difficult to execute on the things that we need to execute on from a multimedia standpoint. So now to have that really state-of-the-art press box for us, I mean, it's perfect size. It finishes off that facility very nicely. It allows our staff to work in a safe environment, which is most important, but also allows us to improve our product. And that's our goal, is to advance our product a little bit every single day. And we feel like that press box at the softball complex will certainly help us advance our product forward.
Yeah, a few of us were out there yesterday checking it out, and it definitely will be an added bonus for the communications team and members of our softball team as well. Other things going on around campus, and we've highlighted a lot about the baseball dugouts and different things being completed there. But we've also had to implement some new things based on the guidelines for Division I, including the pitch clocks.
Right, we had to install pitch clocks this year. I think we had an additional year at Division II level, but at Division I they had to be in this year, so they were installed during the month of January. You'll see those clocks. There are two. One that faces the pitcher, it's in the press box facing, if you will. So from center field, you can see that pitch clock very visible. And then there'll be one under the scoreboard area as well for fans to be able to track that. But that's something that the NCAA instituted this year, and we had to comply and certainly had those installed by the start of our home season, which will be later in March.
Yeah, and so even during the winter months, there's still things going on here on campus to continue to boost the overall department, which is really exciting. To that point, while we're on this subject, I think, as we've had these discussions, it's important sometimes to take a step back and kind of look at the overall year from kind of a 90,000-foot view, if you will. So often we talk about, and we'll continue to talk about after this, the day-to-day life and what's going on with our teams. But from your perspective, I was curious to hear about your thoughts on the overall transition to Division I and the progress that we've made so far this year.
I think we've made incredible progress. I'm extremely proud of our student athletes and the manner in which they competed. We asked them to compete with ferocity. They've done that. We've asked them to represent the institution with class, dignity, and integrity. I think they've done that at every turn. And we asked our student athletes to enjoy the moment. And I think as our student athletes have gone on during the course of their year, they've enjoyed it more and more. And there's been some challenges in the non-conference, and that was just based on who we were able to schedule. And we've scheduled really conference leaders. If you look back at who we played during the fall, those teams that we played in the non-conference were top of their conference standings and competed for championships in their respective conferences. The same thing in the winter with the basketball teams. Our women's basketball team picked some pretty hard fights early on, and those teams have really held serve, and they're top their conference standings. The men's basketball team as well, some top teams. So I think those really rugged non-conference competitions have prepared our teams and our student athletes well. And when they've gotten into the Northeast Conference tournament conference play, they've been very comfortable and have performed really well. Our women's team, as we stand now, they've already clinched the number 2 seed in second place at worst in the regular season NEC standings, which is fantastic in year one. And the men have been near the top all year long and hotly contesting now for a 4 seed, which would deliver a home game, at least one home game in the NEC tournament. So we're really proud of the way the teams competed. Our swimmers went off to the NEC championships this past weekend and hit many personal bests. And that's all we ask. The team standings and where they'll finish in that'll change as time goes on. But we just asked our student athletes to compete ferociously and relentlessly And when they achieve personal best throughout the year, you know that they're competing at the highest level of their potential.
Yeah, and you really beat me to it. I was just going to ask, thinking about, taking a step back from the overall, what's going on within the athletic department into more of a specific discussion on our winter sports teams. First, when we think about our swimming and diving team just competing at the NEC championships and taking home some medals,
Yes.
it's such a great sign for year one. Our track and field team setting personal bests and school records, every meet it seems.
Yes.
And then our men's and women's tennis teams earning NEC victories. I just was curious for your thoughts. I know I touched on several things there, but for those few teams.
Yeah, you'd always like to have more victories, but you have to be realistic as you transition. That it's a step forward. Again, I didn't think this would be a huge leap forward. I thought it would be a step forward, and it has proven to be a step forward. And if we were going to play Autonomy 5 conference teams in the non-conference space or the conference space throughout the course of the year, then it would be a leap forward. But really, I think it's been a step, and it's been a large step. In some cases larger than others. But I'm really proud of how the teams have competed. And it's tough when some of our teams have met with tremendous success, and suddenly the challenge is steeper, and it requires everyone to elevate a little bit, whether it's our support staff, our team here that we have here to support our student athletes' pursuit of comprehensive excellence on a daily basis, our coaches, or our student athletes. And there's going to be a transition period, So I think even tennis, that's a program that arguably has been the men's tennis program, our most successful program here on the Heights, even beyond men's lacrosse, which has won 6 national championships here. The last couple of seasons, our men's tennis team has achieved at a very, very high level, maybe the best kept secret within our athletic department. And they're finding some tough go right now. They're coming up against some really tough competition at the Division I level, and they'll acclimate over time, and Coach Lonzik will acclimate over time. But just to see how those student athletes react to this challenge, and they can go one of two ways, right? They can kind of feel sorry for themselves, or they can step up and really compete that much harder and realize that this is a process, it's a transition, and embrace the challenge. And in time, we'll find the same level of success, I believe, that we did in the Northeast 10 Conference at the Division II level.
We definitely wanted to highlight those student athletes who are doing such a great job competing every single day here on the Heights and in competition elsewhere. So often in college athletics, when you get to the month of March, the focus can primarily be college basketball. So with that being said, wanted to highlight a little bit more about our men's and women's basketball teams as we enter, at the end of the week here, such an exciting month in the calendar year. When we look at our men's and women's basketball seasons, I know you just touched on them briefly. What can you say about the two programs and what excites you about what's to come in the month of March?
Well, I'm really excited about the level of compete from our student athletes, both on the men's and women's side. They had tough non-conference seasons and schedules, I should say. The women opened 2-11, and now they're over 500. And the men were several games under 500 and have been clawing their way close to 500. We're right there up against that a week or so ago. They hit a little tough patch, but still had the opportunity to finish strong. And as we mentioned, the women have already clinched second place and a number 2 seed in the NEC tournament, which would be fantastic to host at least 2 games here at Ted Grant Court and potentially 3. And there's still some games to be played in the conference. So there's a chance that our women could still earn a share of the regular season NEC championship and potentially the number 1 seed. So sometimes you take a step back and you really appreciate what they've accomplished. And Mary Grimes has done just a phenomenal job in that program, and you'd expect her and her staff. She's got a great staff. They work hard. They are able to really keep things light when things need to be kept light, and they really know how to step on the gas pedal when the time and the situation calls for that. On the men's side, I think Nate Champion, he's been in the mentions for Coach of the Year all season long by publications that follow the NEC, and I think not much was expected of either team. They were both predicted to be 8th or 9th in the conference, and both are in the top 4. And right now, the men have a tough week ahead, but a great opportunity, a tremendous opportunity to finish in the top 4 and post at least 1 NEC tournament game. So could not be more proud of our student athletes, how they responded to adversity early in the season, how they've embraced the challenge, and now how they've positioned themselves for strong finishes as we head towards March. And forever, I know that the folks here on the Heights talked about March Madness, and maybe Lemoyne can be part of March Madness. Well, to me, March Madness starts at the conference level in the conference tournaments. So while we, as an institution and as an athletic department, can't compete in the NCAA championship events for at a maximum of 4 years, and I say a maximum because that could change here, down the road. We can compete for a conference championship immediately. So we are involved in March Madness, and March is upon us. So I think we're all excited to see what this next month brings for our basketball programs.
I think it is such an important thing to highlight. We've talked so much about providing our students with an opportunity for excellence. And now that we're able to compete for conference championships, there is a reward at the end of the season for student athletes, if they were potentially to earn it. So it really is an exciting time here on the Heights. And again, we have many basketball games left here. We have 2 home games this Thursday and Saturday. And then, as you mentioned, at least 1, hopefully more home games here for the postseason. So we're urging all of our fans to come out and support our Fins here on campus.
Yeah, they really deserve the support in year 1. So come out and watch really exciting brands of basketball on the men's and women's side. If you can, come out this week. Come out Thursday and Saturday. 1 more regular season opportunity to watch the men on Thursday, the women on Saturday, and then we head to postseason. But these student athletes deserve the support. If you haven't been out yet, we're trying to create an environment that invites people to come and enjoy themselves and then come right back. We're holding so many events that we feel like invite the community to be part of this, whether it's post-game autograph sessions with the young kids or Scout Days, Military Appreciation Night Thursday, Scout Day on Saturday. Just so many opportunities to interact with the community because that's who we are. That's who Lemoyne College is. We're a big part of this Syracuse and DeWitt community, and we want to make sure that those folks are invited to be part of our program as well.
Absolutely. And one of those events that we recently held as we sit here in the Hall of Fame section on campus was our 75th season and a celebration anniversary for our men's basketball program. Looking back on that event before we move on, I just wanted to hear your thoughts about what was such an awesome day with so many alumni returning back to campus and creating that great atmosphere that we're hoping for moving forward.
Yeah, I thought we had a great crowd, a great turnout from our alums. We had 30 to 40 alums that came back, and we were able to honor them, produced a special video, a tribute video. I think one of the moments of the day that will resonate with me for a long, long period of time was we were able to present Kai Clary with his game ball, his ball that commemorated his single game scoring record. And talk about serendipitous. We were able to have both of the previous record holders as part of that presentation. And that record stood for 75 years. So, it wasn't a record that just was broken a couple of years ago. That record was initially set back in the 1950s, and then it was equaled in 1971. And we had both of those gentlemen back to be part of the presentation. And it was just a special day to have Kai Clary to be honored with 2 former Fins and former players that it was very different competition when they played, but to see them back here and be remembered for their greatness, I thought was a special day.
It really was, and I was very happy to be there and be a part of it. So moving on from the basketball season, we just highlighted how beautiful it is outside today, which is, again, hopefully a sign for good things to come in the spring. But with that being said, our spring sports teams have already begun competing, not so much here on campus other than a few lacrosse games. But with that being said, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what's gone on so far this spring with pretty much every single one of our teams already earning their first Division I win or return to Division I as well.
Yeah, that's huge, Kevin. I think getting that first victory under your belt is kind of getting that pressure off, right? Just relieves that pressure valve a little bit in all 4 of our team sports that are competing here in the spring. That's men's, women's lacrosse, baseball, and softball. They've all registered their first victory of the season. And as you said, in some cases, it was a return to Division I. The women's lacrosse team really set the bar quickly as they hosted California Golden Bears out here at Ted Grant Field back in the middle of February and was victorious victorious in their first game and returning to the Division I level. The baseball team in its return to the Division I level have already notched a couple of victories, one over Houston Christian on their first series, and then over Radford this past weekend. The men's lacrosse team, first game out against Wagner, a future NEC opponent. Right now, the men's lacrosse team playing an independent schedule this year, but an NEC schedule next year. Was able to post a very convincing victory at Wagner. And then, of course, our softball team with its first victory this past weekend in Florida against my alma mater. Took out the St. Bonaventure Bonnies down in Florida. But really encouraging to get that first victory early on, and now you can just continue to chase greatness and then compete for an NEC championship when conference play starts here soon enough.
Yeah, so it's such an exciting time. Hopefully this weather will hold for us, and we'll continue to highlight our student athletes over the course of the spring. Not to jump too far ahead, but kind of as we begin to wrap up here, we, of course, again, we want to highlight our men's and women's basketball teams to come out and support. But it's crazy to say that March 23rd is not too far away, where we'll be hosting one of our spring Fins Frenzies. So can you speak to a little bit about that day and what that will kind of look like for our fans?
Yeah, that'll be a special day, and hopefully we have weather just like today, Kevin, out here. Hopefully it's in the 60s, mid to upper 60s on March 23rd. But that will be the first of two Fins Frenzies that we hold in the spring. And on this day, our men's lacrosse team will be celebrating the 20th anniversary of the 2004 National Championship team. So we're inviting those team members back. We'll have some events around that, a special presentation at halftime to tribute that group. And there's also a baseball game going on that day as well. So the men's lacrosse game will start at noon. The baseball team will have first pitch at 3. Great opportunity to come out and support the teams. We'll have tremendous promotions that we're working on right now involved with that, some giveaways and some things for the youth teams to come out and interact with our men's lacrosse team after the game is over on the field, with some post-game autographs and some other interaction opportunities. So we're already planning ahead. It's about a month away, actually less than a month away. And when you look outside, you feel like spring's a lot closer than the calendar says it is.
Yeah, so just wanted to highlight that. Again, it feels like it's far away, but it really is only a few weeks at this point. The spring semester goes by so quick, so just wanted to highlight some events coming up for fans at home to put on their calendars and continue to join us as we embark on our Division I transition. So that will kind of conclude this episode of the From the Heights podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow our podcast and reach out with any questions you might want us to discuss here as we continue this journey. And as always, Bob, we'll end with a fins up.
Yeah, fins up, Kevin. Thank you.